Hi, this is Mike Schuman of Vermont VA Federal Credit Union, and this is Show Me the Money. Vermont VA Federal Credit Union has gone community about a year ago. So what does that mean exactly as a community credit union? It means that if you live, work, worship, or attend school in Sullivan or Grafton County in New Hampshire, or Orange or Windsor County in Vermont, you're eligible to join. You don't just have to be an employee at the Vermont VA hospital. And certainly that's another way of joining us. And we welcome folks in the community in White River Junction, in Lebanon, West Lebanon, Hanover, etc. Please come and join. If there are any questions for future episodes of Show Me the Money, and we do this on a monthly basis, my email address is mike@vtvafcu.com. Last show, we were talking about how to avoid having that holiday hangover. Well, for those of you who have had the holiday hangover, this is the follow-up episode. So I just want to go through a few options for you if you have that holiday hangover, that holiday debt hangover, where you bought more than you thought you were going to for loved ones, friends, family, or even yourself. So there are a few ideas. First of all, if you have a lot of unsecured debt like credit card debt, and you own a home and you have a lot of equity, a decent amount of equity, well, maybe it's time to do a home equity loan or line of credit. Those rates are usually very low, and the interest is often tax deductible. So it's a very nice deal for you. Another option for you is a personal loan. So personal loan to do debt consolidation. So if you have a number of credit cards, you just do a debt consolidation loan with us. The rate is usually pretty good. If you don't own a home, that's usually your best option. But if you do own a home equity loan or line is definitely your best option as well. You want to simplify your financial life without question. One option to do that also is file your tax returns early. If you do that, first of all, if you're getting a refund, you could pay off your debts or your credit cards with the tax refund that you're getting. But also, we are in a different situation, a different world. You want to file your tax returns early now because of a different reason: identity theft. There are a lot of people around the country, and maybe even around the world, who are filing tax returns early, your tax returns, and that's something you need to be aware of. Bottom line is, if you file before they do, you're going to get your refund if you're entitled to a refund. If you have to pay, well, that's a different story. But the bottom line is you want to make sure that you are held responsible for your tax situation and not some stranger miles or thousands of miles away who's actually filing on your behalf. And if you're getting a refund, you want to get that refund as soon as possible. Maybe pay off those credit card debts or other debts that you have. If you did buy something for yourself or a loved one, like a car, one thing to consider, because most people actually get the financing on their car from the car dealer. Something to consider: go to your credit union and get a car loan refinance. Our rates are as low as 1.99%, so that's a pretty good deal right now because rates are still low. The Federal Reserve Board, around Christmas time, actually raised what's known as the federal funds rate. Now, that has an indirect impact on rates overall, but what's happened is, generally speaking, most rates haven't moved much, especially savings or CD rates. They generally haven't moved at all. And some loan rates, some places have moved, some haven't. We actually didn't. So we actually have really, really good rates, as I said, as low as 1.99% for a car loan. Could be for refinance if you got a car loan from the dealer, which was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7%. So you can save some money on that. Once again, this is all about best practices and saving money and using presumably your credit union to do that, because we're a nonprofit financial cooperative, meaning that you are a member owner once you join. So it's a nice situation, and we're trying to do the best thing for our members and prospective members, and that's one of the reasons we do this show, is to give you best information, best practices. So these are a few ideas that we've come up with. Now, you want to avoid the holiday hangover in the future. That would be a good idea, because if you have the holiday hangover now, you don't want to have it happen again in 2016. So best approach for that is start saving now. Put away at every pay period, 25, 50, whatever money that you intend to use for the 2016 holidays. The average American spends about $800, $700, $800 per year on the holidays. So if you save $60 a month, you'll be at about $720. So that would serve you in very good stead. So bottom line, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. So that's one of the reasons why we're here, to give you those best practices so that you have a plan to do things. So once again, if you have the holiday hangover, the holiday debt hangover, these are a few ideas to help you out. If you don't, congratulations. That's a wonderful thing. That's New Englanders. We have a history of being Puritans and thrifty, and that's good. But not everyone is, and that's fine. So we have to come up with solutions to help those folks out. Now, going forward, the rest of the show, we're actually going to talk about a couple things. Moving on to tricks to reaching your financial goals is one of the things we're going to talk about. And also, 10 examples of how you might have a good credit score, and we'll talk about that as well. But one other thing I'm going to also discuss is that if you can, go to our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com and look for Vermont VA Federal Credit Union, or FCU. And every day we put up really, really good information about personal finance, best practices. We put up something the other day about FAFSA, which is the financial aid form for people whose kids are going to college. And it's a very scary time. It's very expensive for college. So you want to go in educated and knowledgeable. So that's one example. And there are all kinds of other examples of good personal finance tools for you to be successful and to succeed. Welcome back. I'm Mike Schuman of Vermont VA Federal Credit Union, and this is Show Me the Money. We just talked about the holiday hangover, and I hope you don't have that holiday debt hangover because it certainly isn't unpleasant, but there are some good tips there to help you get over the holiday debt hangover and also to prevent the holiday debt hangover for the holidays in 2016 and bring you into 2017. So best practices to find ways to get your financial life in order. On the next part of our show, the next segment, we're talking about tricks to reaching your financial goals. And we all want to reach financial goals, and they may vary. Some people want to hit $1 million for retirement so they can live free and easy. Maybe it's $2 million, maybe it's $3 million, maybe it's $400,000 or $500,000, who knows? Bottom line is that you want to do what a really good radio personality by the name of Bob Brinker used to talk about. It's called reaching critical mass. Meaning you have enough money, you can do whatever you want. You can travel, or you can, do your hobbies or your charities. You'll have the freedom to do that, which is really nice. So the idea here is to hit, as Bob Brinker says, critical mass. So first trick, eliminate unnecessary spending. You might have more room in your budget to save for retirement if that's your goal than you think. That's because there might be expenses that could easily be eliminated. Look at your bank statement and credit card statement every month. You'll find expenses that you're not even using, you're not even knowing about, such as club memberships, subscriptions, automatic charge for services you rarely use or you never use. So take a look at that. Also, periodically reshop your wireless service. Right now, cell phone service is very, very competitive. You could switch over. You're probably gonna have to buy your phone nowadays, but you can buy it on time or you could lease it. But you can get really, really good deals by checking out cell phone providers. Same with cable TV, internet, other service. You want to shop around to see if you can get a better deal, a better rate. Then that's savings. Let's say you save, $50 or $100 a month. Take that $50 or $100 a month, which you weren't even using anyways, it's a surprise, and put it towards either your 401k or 403b if you have that at work, or put it towards an IRA, preferably a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA, you save the money, it defers taxes, you don't have to pay anything, and the gains are deferred. And when you take the money out when you're 59 and a half or older, and you can take it out anytime after 59 and a half without any penalty for both your contributions and your earnings, it's tax-free because you've already paid the tax on it at the beginning. If you're under 59 and a half, you can actually take out your contributions, so it's a nice way of saving anyways. So that's a nice deal. Number 2, start saving early. We've talked about this in the past. Time is your friend if you're saving and investing early. You want to do it as soon as you start leaving high school or college when you get your first job. The power of compound interest is very, very powerful. We have something called the Rule of 72 out there. What is the Rule of 72? Well, the Rule of 72 is 72 divided by whatever you anticipate earning. Now, if you're putting it into a savings account, you're not going to get a whole lot because rates are very low. But let's say you're getting 1% on your savings account. 72 divided by 1 means that in 72 years, you're going to double your money. It's a little scary, so that's why a lot of people are putting their money into other investments, actual investments. And when you're putting into your 401k or your IRA, your retirement account, and you do have time in your hands, then you've got time to save and invest, you should really look at stock mutual funds or stock ETFs or balance, a mix of stocks and bonds, target date funds. These are all good tools. So in that case, the rule of 72 divided by, let's say 8%, which is not an unreasonable expectation. Over time, 20, 30 years, you can expect to get 8%. 72 divided by 8 is 9, meaning that for every dollar you put in, it's going to double in 9 years. So that's much more attractive than waiting 72 years. And that's why retirement accounts, if you have the time, you definitely want to look at options that are a little more aggressive. It's very scary right now, again, as it was last August when we talked about it. The stock market has been down. It's been very, very volatile. But if you're young, that is great news because you're a buyer, and it's a buying opportunity. If you're older, it's a little harder, it's a little scarier, and hopefully you've already made the decision when the market was up that you lightened up on stocks because you want to buy low, it's a good strategy, and then sell high. If you start saving, as an example, $350 a month at age 25, and you increase that amount, you continue into a good savings habit, you increase it by 2.5% each year and earn, say, 7% annually, you would have about $1.4 million at age 67. So that shows the power of compounding, and you're just not going to get 7% in a savings account right now. So you need to put it into something that's maybe a mix of stocks and bonds and a little bit of cash. Now, if you waited till you were 35 to start saving, because you missed out on 10 years of compounding, you would have about $654,000 at age 67. So by not starting early, at 25, you missed out 10 years of compounding. And you think about it realistically, if you're getting 7%, $654,000 times 7% is about $40,000+. So that's when the money really has been made, because it's $654 to $700,000 times 7% is $750,000 times 7%. If it keeps going up by 7%, that's when big numbers come in. So you give up a lot of money down the road by not saving early. Number 3, don't let saving be a choice. Make sure that retirement savings is happening every week or monthly automatically. That's why 401ks and 403bs are very, very powerful. You want to have it happen automatically. The 401k, just have it come right out. It's very simple. Do it at your workplace. Even if you start small and then increase it over time. Generally you won't miss the money, and that's a good situation. But make sure you don't have credit card debt as well, and make sure that gets taken. So you have to have a balance of these things. Save at least 10% annually. That's a starting point. There are actually some financial planners that are saying you should have 15 to 20%, but don't start there. Start even at 5% if you can. You got to start somewhere, but get it to 10%. Just slowly but surely get it going to that, because once again, you want to start early. And if you can start early at 25 and you can do 10% or more, you're going to be doing very well for yourself. If you do less, then maybe not as well, but at least you're getting the ball rolling. Americans are saving for retirement, are setting aside, on average, 8.5% of their income annually, according to Fidelity Investments. But most experts recommend setting aside at least 10%, ideally 15%, to live comfortably in retirement, and that's the goal, plus travel and whatever else you want it to do. If you can't set aside that much when you're starting out, make sure you increase the amount you're contributing as your income rises so you get to that 15% and maybe even more. And once again, it doesn't have to be in the 401k. You could put some into a Roth IRA. You can do a mix, which is nice. And when you retire, the 401k, the money that comes out of that is taxable, and it's required that you take minimum distributions by the time you're 70 and a half, and you don't have to with a Roth IRA, but you can. So you take out the required minimum distribution, the RMD, and maybe take some out of the Roth, but you take only enough to go to a certain marginal tax bracket. So you're not paying more in taxes than you have to when you're retired. You want to take advantage of those opportunities. Take advantage of the employer match. If your employer matches contributions, you make sure you're contributing enough to get the full match at the beginning. Otherwise, you're losing out on free money, and who doesn't like free money? There are common matches, 50 cents to $1 contributed by employer, so up to a certain limit. Save your raise, don't spend it. If you get a 3% raise this year, take that 3% and put it towards your retirement account. That's an easy way to do it. So you don't have to start at the 10, you can start at the 5, and then you go from there to 8% if you get a 3% raise. Bottom line is that you want to do as much as you possibly can. Pay raise can give you much more wiggle room in your budget, but if you're already making ends meet on your current salary, put any extra you get in your raise into your retirement account rather than your bank account. Try not to expand your lifestyle if your salary grows. Put all that away instead of deciding to buy a nicer car or bigger home. Then you won't have to sacrifice your standard of living in retirement. Spending, when you're saving, it's actually spending. It's deferred spending. You're going to spend the money one way or the other. So you can spend it now, you save it and have it grow. You can spend it later, and then once again, in 40 years, if you retire in 30 or 40 years, you're barely going to remember that car that you had back in 2016. So don't get caught up in cars and so on and so forth. Make catch-up contributions. Now, if you're 50 or older, even if retirement isn't that far off, you still have a chance of saving enough if you take advantage of catch-up contributions. In 2016, you can add an extra $6,000 to a 401k, 403b, or 457. The normal maximum is $18,000 a year, which is obviously a hard figure to get to, but some people can get there. And then if you're 50 or over, you can actually do $24,000, $18,000 plus the $6,000 catch-up provision. For an IRA, a traditional or a Roth IRA, you can do $5,500 if you're younger than 50, or if you're 50 or older. The catch-up contribution is an additional $1,000. So you can do $6,500, which is very nice. Mentioned this before about the stock market, et cetera, and bonds, et cetera. Number 8, be willing to take some risk. For most people, the key to investment success comes down to 3 words: save, save, save. Okay, that's from Ken Weber of Weber Asset Management, and author of Dear Investor, What the Heck Are You Doing? That's not the word, he used a different word. However, it's close to heck. However, you can't just stash your cash in a savings account. As I mentioned, they're just not paying enough even at a credit union. You've got to take some risk for the reward later on. And time is your friend, as I've mentioned before in prior episodes. If you think about where the stock market was 35 years ago, as an example, in 1980, it was about 1,000 on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It's gone down recently. It's still about 16,000. So it's gone down recently, but it's still 16 times higher than it was 35 years ago. So over the long haul, the stock market is your friend. You just got to get away from the volatility and the gyrations, avoid the noise, and long term you'll be in good shape. Now, according to Ken Weber, for each stage of life, you can be invested with as much risk as you can tolerate. And once again, time is your friend. So as time goes by, you have less money in stocks, as an example. You should be putting most of your retirement savings into stock mutual funds when you're in your 20s or 30s, as we discussed. As you get close to retirement age, you can lower your risk by investing in fixed income assets such as bond funds. In addition to stocks, or maybe you get into things like dividend-paying stocks. Right now, dividend-paying stocks are paying the same or sometimes more than bonds. Now, they have a little more risk because they're stocks, but they actually keep a cushion, because the reality is you have a dividend-paying fund that's paying 3.5%. Well, if it goes down, that means the dividend is going to go up to 4. That's an unlikely scenario, but always possible. And then you invest more because you're getting 4% if you have some cash available, and you always have a little bit of cash available. Consider a target date fund. Simple, autopilot. You just put in the money into a target date fund which has stock, bonds, cash. The younger you are, the more stock it has, and then as time goes by, less stock, more bonds, more cash. And that it's an autopilot. So that's kind of a nice situation as well if you're not exactly sure which way to go. Diversify your investments. You shouldn't put your entire retirement nest egg in one basket. You don't put into a single stock. That would make no sense. There are a couple examples down through the years. WorldCom, a lot of people put all their money into WorldCom stock. It went bankrupt. All their money went bankrupt with it. There was nothing left. Enron, good example. They were encouraged by senior management. There are videotapes on YouTube showing senior management telling their staff, invest in Enron stock. Enron stock doesn't exist anymore. So you want to diversify. The S&P 500 is 500 stocks, an index fund. That's 500 different stocks. You have diversification. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, but the reality is if businesses go out of business, there's still 499 stocks or 490. Bottom line, something else is going up. Good example yesterday. Facebook's earnings were tremendous. Their stock went up 15%. Amazon, earnings not so good. Their stock actually is going down, I think, about 15%. So on net, you're about on target, but if you had Facebook stock, you're okay. But if you have a variety of different stocks, some are going up, some are going down, but at the end of the day, index funds historically have returned about 8 or 9% over a long-term period of time. Don't let fees into your investment returns. When you invest in mutual funds, one of the things I just mentioned, index funds. Index funds are a good way to meet the market return, and they usually have lower expenses, lower fees. If you have a mutual fund with an active manager, 90% of active managers, give or take, do not actually meet the index. Why? Because we're the market as a whole. And it just doesn't make sense that a manager is going to be able to beat the market on a consistent basis, but the market is what the market is. So if you can keep your fees down and match the market, you're going to be in good shape. You'll be in good stead for a period of time. As an example, fees and expense account are 1.5%, which happens. Your balance would be 28% smaller at retirement than if the fees had been 0.5%. That shows you 3 times the expenses are going to take a bite of 28%. So instead of having $1 million, you may have $720,000. That's what happens with fees over time. And index funds, you can get as little as 0.5%, not even 0.5, 0.05%. So that's a very nice deal. So the investments offered in your 401k, or if you buy a Roth IRA, have varying fees. So consider switching to lower fee investments, but only as long as it fits your investment objectives and risk tolerance. Stay the course. Keep doing it. Keep throwing money in, keep getting money matching from your employer, put money into your Roth, just keep doing that. And when the market goes down, you're buying more shares. You're a buyer over the long haul. So you want to do that. You buy socks on sale in the stores. Why wouldn't you buy stocks on sale? So it's kind of a nice situation. You want to take advantage of opportunities for your investment to rebound. I have a good friend, I may have mentioned this past episode, who has his MBA. And I asked him in 2008, when the markets were going terribly during the financial crisis, are you backing up the truck? He said, no, he stopped contributing to his 401k. That was the buying opportunity of a lifetime. Between that time in October 2008, or September 2008, and March 9th, 2009, because it bottomed on the S&P at 666 on March 9th, 2009, and the S&P, as of my leaving the car this morning, was just around 1900. So that's 3 times the money in just a matter of 7 years. So time is your friend, stay the course, ignore the noise. Get tax-free retirement income with a Roth, which I mentioned before. If you have the ability, and this is a good area to do this, invest in income-generating real estate. The reason I bring this up here is because rents are relatively high compared to purchase prices. So this is a good area to actually buy apartment buildings or something along those lines. If you're not comfortable with the maintenance and so on and so forth, either don't do it or hire someone, a maintenance company that'll help you out. But that's a sideline source of income presently, and it's also building an asset over time, which is very nice. Tied into that, get a side job. That's additional income. Once again, you want to live beneath your means. So if you have additional income and you have the same expenses that you normally do, you're going to have additional cash that you can throw towards retirement accounts. And you can also open up a solo 401k or a simplified employee pension plan. So there are a lot of options if you do your own business. Downsize before your retirement. Your mortgage will be paid off by the time you retire if you have a mortgage. So that's the biggest expense most people have. And you would prefer not to have car loans at that time, but car loans are relatively small compared to having a mortgage. So if you can get rid of your mortgage, do that. Some people will relocate to lower the cost of living. If you sell your home, move somewhere else, maybe that pays off the mortgage and you get some sun and additional vitamin D. Don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Just because the next door neighbor bought a BMW doesn't mean you have to, okay? There was a book out a number of years ago, The Millionaire Next Door. The average millionaire in America, they drive a Ford F-150. They do not drive a BMW. Those people with the BMWs, they may very well have a car payment, a loan or a lease. Okay, so then if they continuously have car loan payments compared to the guy next door who owns his business and he has a Ford F-150, he may very well be a millionaire. So if you need help, get professional help. Contact me if you have any questions, mike@vtvafcu.com. This is one of my favorites here on this particular list of 20 recommendations. It says play the lottery. Now it doesn't say play the lottery so you have no cash with the expectation of winning. We just had a $1.6 billion lottery recently and it tells a tale. What does it do? You put $2 down and you are lucky if you got one number. So it just shows, you know what? I don't have to play $1,000 or $2,000 in the lottery, but if it's big enough, maybe I'll just play $2 or $4. But you need to put things into context. You have no control of the lottery. You have control over your ability to live beneath your means, save, invest, and take your time and stay the course. All right, welcome back to Show Me the Money. I'm Mike Schumann of Vermont VA Federal Credit Union. If you have any questions for future shows, we do these on a monthly basis, Mike at vtvafcu.com. So please email your questions, and if you have any interest in joining the credit union, if you live, work, worship, or attend school in Grafton or Sullivan counties, Windsor or Orange counties, you are eligible to join. We became a community credit union a little over a year ago, January of 2015. So we've opened up our membership so you can join. So it's a nice situation. Now, we talk about credit scores quite a bit because credit scoring is so important nowadays. If you want to do anything in life nowadays, if you want to get a loan, obviously, if you want to get a job, sometimes employers will check credit scores. If you want to, if you have insurance in your car, insurance companies are using credit scores as a risk decider. So you want to have the highest credit score possible. We've talked about it before, what the drivers are, credit scores, but this is on our Facebook page as well. Go to facebook.com, look for Vermont VA Federal Credit Union. Good information. So if you meet 10 of these criteria, you have an excellent credit score. First, you have a long positive history with the same accounts. Since the age of your credit account makes up 15% of your FICO score, FICO, Fair Isaac Company, you get penalized for a bit for opening new credit accounts, just a bit. An inquiry is a small negative when you actually have your credit pulled, and rewarded for keeping a long positive history with the same credit accounts, which is why you typically don't want to close old accounts either, credit cards most notably. Number two, you pay your credit card bills on time, or your credit bills. That's installment debt, that's mortgages, that's credit cards, that's overdraft, that's everything. Your credit account payment history makes up a large 35% portion of your FICO credit score. If you always pay your credit accounts on time and haven't missed payments or even paid late in the last several years, your credit score continued to climb the longer any late payment is in the past. Bear in mind, FICO, Fair Isaac Company credit scores go from 300 to 850. I've never seen an 850. An 841 is as high as I've seen. I've never seen a 300. I've never seen anything below 400. Usually people with the best credit are above 720, and if you're above 800, you're in good shape. If you're below 600, definitely want to work on that for sure. Make sure you're paying everything on time, et cetera, and you don't open up credit accounts, et cetera, because what will happen is you may get credit, but the lower your score, the higher the rate you're paying is on your car loans, your personal loans, your insurance. And it may close doors as far as employment. So you want to be aware of all these things. Number three, you have no collections or defaults in your name. Negative payment history. Running your payment history, collections or defaults in your accounts place a negative mark on your credit report, which decreases your score for 7 to 10 years. 10 years, above 7 years to 10 years would be a bankruptcy. So obviously that's going to be a negative in your credit. In fact, there are circumstances where if you declare bankruptcy, you may not be able to get credit at all. I know of a lender that if you've had a bankruptcy, they will never give you a small business loan, and I mean never. So that's something to consider. If you never default on your financial responsibility, you have no collections, the better your chance of having a good score. Number four, you don't carry credit card balances from month to month. This is called credit utilization. You keep your balances low and your credit limit high, odds are you're going to have a higher credit score. We always talk about what really drives credit scores, using credit wisely and sparingly. So this actually mentions that recent data from 6 million Credit Sesame users showed that the very best user scores between 760 and 840 all had credit utilization rates below 15%, meaning that your balances were low and your limits were high. So that really shows between that and actually having payments on time, you're going to be in good shape. You got the best rate offered on a loan. You go to get a car loan. Once again, I mentioned we have rates as low as 1.99% on a car loan, on a new car loan. Odds are you have a very good credit score, okay? According to Vantage Score 3.0, which is a data tracking firm, they checked in 2015, about a year ago. Super prime borrowers with high credit scores between 781 and 850, once again, I've never seen that 850, received an average interest rate of 2.73% for 61 months, and at our credit union, we'll give you even less. And deep subprime borrowers with low credit scores between 300 and 500 received an average interest rate of 14% for 72 months. So for a new $27,000 car loan and a 6-month term, the higher interest rate adds on more than $11,000 to the cost of the car. Good credit gets lower rates and you will save a ton of money. So the bottom line is you could either spend $27,000 for the car, probably another $2,000 or $3,000 for interest, so that's $30,000. Or you can spend $41,000. I think I'd rather spend closer to the $27,000. I think most of you would as well. You get a lot of credit card offers in the mail. Now, you know, that seems to happen a lot less nowadays, but if you're getting credit card offers in the mail, that's kind of a mixed bag. Now, this is information I got online. You could still get credit card offers if you don't have good credit for a simple reason. They charge higher rates and fees. So that's possible as well. But I think they actually have fewer credit card offers. But after the financial crisis, it took a couple years before they actually started doing credit card offers. And those were usually for the best borrowers. But it's evolved as well over time. And that does cycle. You figured out how to game the rewards cards, okay? To take advantage of rewards credit cards, it's to never carry a balance. Okay, if you carry a balance from month to month, you pay it off every month, you likely don't have the best score you could have, and you will definitely not be gaming the rewards card that give you cash back or airline miles, et cetera, et cetera. Here's a good one. You understand your credit score and keep tabs on it. And this is something we talk about, you know, every other show on average. So bottom line is you have a good understanding. That's what we're trying to talk about, either on our Facebook page or through the show, through Show Me the Money. There was a survey done about a year ago. Those who have previously checked their credit score, and you can get your credit score, you can get your credit every year through annualcreditreport.com without paying anything, and then maybe about $16 to get your score for each of the 3 credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Those who check their credit score consider an average score of 719 to be a good score, while those who never check their credit score considered 668 a good score. So the more you understand your credit score and how it affects you, and the more connected you are to your credit and your credit score, the higher your credit score is likely to be. If you have a substantial emergency fund, okay, you're more likely to have a higher credit score. One of the best practices of personal finance is flexibility on any way that you can achieve flexibility. Having savings allows you flexibility. Living beneath your means allows you flexibility. Having access to lines of credit, just in case when things are not great, either on a credit card or home equity line of credit, that is giving you flexibility. But an emergency fund is part of that. A credit monitoring or credit scoring website told you, so they may have just told you that you have a good credit score, so that's something as well. So when you get an opportunity, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com, look out for Vermont VA Federal Credit Union. Every day we put up 1, 2, 3 different bits of informational best practices for personal finance. We want you to succeed. So when we talk about show me the money, we really want to show you the money through savings and getting the best value out there when you buy things, when you finance things, to have the highest credit score. So bottom line is we want to help you out. And if you have any additional questions, this is Mike Schumann from Vermont VA Federal Credit Union, Mike at vtvafcu.com. Hopefully we'll see you at the credit union. Thank you.